Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ancient Voice Rising. If you haven't been here before, my name is Hera Dyani, and I welcome you with open arms. Here at Ancient Voice Rising podcast, we host a living transmission of authentic, raw conversations from all walks of life. So I invite you to subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce now my next guest, and I'm so excited to have her on. What a wonderful being. Her name is Racquel Jacobson, and she was raised in a military family that moved every 3 years. Raquel became an expert at shape shifting, blending in, fitting in, surviving. She was a chameleon before she knew the word for it. It wasn't until her 30s, in the middle of an unhappy marriage and a life that looked beautiful on the outside, that she realized she had been dissociating most of her life. She didn't know who she was, and that truth cracked everything open. She felt like a bird in a luxurious cage, comfortable but caged. What followed was a radical act of self reclamation. She named herself a witch out loud. She hired an authenticity coach. She filed for divorce. She spent a year traveling, deepening into herself, and falling in love with the woman she had always been underneath the performance. Her journey started out of high school pursuing a degree in massage therapy where her entire spiritual world opened up. From the massage table, she gathered certifications in craniosacral therapy, prenatal, Thai yoga, and medical massage. She started hosting women's circles in her home and discovered a deep love for ritual ceremony and the sacred feminine. She became certified in crystal healing and the alchemy of the soul. I lost my place, and is completely currently training in somatic energetics, earning certificates in breathwork, somatic hypnosis, Reiki 1 and 2, and womb activation. Today, Raquel works with women who are disconnected from their bodies, women who are smart, intuitive, and have tried all the things therapy, journaling, meditation, movement, and still feel like something is missing. She helps them feel into their pleasure, their desire, their anger, their grief, and alchemize it. To transform what once was heavy into something magnetic, to come home to who they were all along. The woman who works the women who works with her doesn't become someone new. She remembers who she's always been. Her work is part somatic practice, part ceremony, part deep inner alchemy. Women leave her sessions with clarity, breakthroughs, and something activated within them that no amount of talk therapy could unlock. Mm. Raquel is currently accepting clients for one on one coaching and her 12-week embodiment program, which starts May 7th. If something in you is saying yes to her and her offerings, honor that because your body already knows. Hi, Raquel. Welcome to Ancient Voice Rising.
Hello, Hera. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm
Well, I read
very
your
grateful.
Yes, you're welcome. Very grateful to have you on. I read your bio to the audience. So if you would like to maybe go into a couple of those points, we just talked about maybe going a little and doing a backstory on how you got to what you're doing and where you are now.
Yeah. So I was raised in a military family. We moved around every 3 years.
Mm,
And by design, it made me adaptable. It
mm.
made me realize that in order to fit in quickly, I should observe more, be quiet. So I was often the quiet one, but I was observing everybody just to see who I could trust, who I couldn't, who did what, and it it shaped me in a way that change was always happening, and so it was always on my radar.
Okay.
And for so nothing was ever stable. My life was very chaotic in that way,
Mm,
but not just in a sense of moving. I mean, I had parents, I grew up with parents who were they fought.
mm,
So there was violence and chaos in the home as well. And so not only was my world around me unstable, it was also in the home as well.
okay.
Um, and so I learned to just kind of go inward.
Mm,
And um, I think that's where a lot of the dissociation came from that I didn't learn about myself until in my 30s. I had no clue what I was doing
okay.
um, when I did that. So having to blend in, having to be a shapeshifter, a chameleon, be what you think people need you to be in the moment, or what you think you need to be in order to survive in the moment, to get through the day. Um, yeah, so growing up, um, having a few specific traumatic experiences that also shaped me as well.
Mhm.
Um, I was assaulted by boys when I was younger. There were two times in my life where I was physically hit in like the solar plexus diaphragm area by little boys. And this was probably all under the age of 12.
Wow.
And yeah, the first time that it happened, it was at school. And I remember I was crying. It was it was during recess, and we were all getting ready to go back to class. And I came up to the teacher and I let her know what happened. And I just remember her looking at me like, you're lying, you're not telling the truth.
Mm,
What you're saying isn't real. How dare you? Um, and basically, she was dismissive and she told me, just line up, we're going to class. That was such a pivotal moment in my life because as a young girl, it taught me voicing myself
mm,
and speaking up for myself was wrong, or that if I did this, I would be perceived as a liar. I wouldn't I wouldn't be um I wouldn't be telling the truth about a situation. I wouldn't be believed.
mm.
And so I think
Excuse me.
one of that moment specifically did have a huge bearing on my nervous system, how I grew up to interpret the world and men,
Hmm.
um, the masculine, the masculine outside of me and the masculine within me. I didn't have anybody in that moment to protect me. And I certainly wasn't that person in myself either to protect me from either of those instances. And so I became an advocate for other people
Mm,
as a result. I would stand up for people that I would see being bullied or um, people who couldn't stand up for themselves. I became their advocate. But what I
right
was
on.
lacking was being the advocate for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that something similar in school. And that can shape you. That can shape your world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think a part of me grew up learning that, men or the male wasn't safe
Yeah.
because no male was there to protect me, and then it was the male doing the harm to me. So I went through relationships, I think, in that way. I was half in, half out because I never fully trusted them and I never fully trusted myself or the masculine in myself.
Right.
Um, so toxic relationships, I've been in those. I've been
Yeah.
with the jealous, the controlling. I've attracted those because I do believe, we create our reality. So I've attracted those experiences um, to teach me lessons and to get me to a point where I can help other people who may have been or be in a similar situation.
Right.
Um,
Did you find yourself taking on those characteristics of like the jealousy and the stuff like that?
yes.
I have similar experiences to that as well. And I just recently, over the past year, went, oh, I get it now.
This was my completely my own doing. I had asked for a boyfriend who was just a little jealous because I wanted to experience that, okay?
Oh,
I put it
gotcha.
out there. I put it out there.
Oh, mm,
The one before him wasn't at all any type of jealous, and I was like, what is wrong? Like, little did I know, right? Like that's you be careful what you ask for. So, yes, got into that relationship. It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about my resilience.
mhm,
And I learned boundaries in that relationship. I learned, what I won't settle for and the type of person that I want to be in
right.
relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
You started choosing yourself.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. And sometimes that's a hard thing to do because I was also the person that lost myself in relationships. I would give so much of me, or I would suppress so much of me to just fit into their world, and ride the ride, with them that I lost who I was completely.
Yeah.
And at the end of these relationships, I had to find myself again and again. And I'm learning now in the relationship that I'm in that I can be me and I can hold fast to me and I can show up as me with them around, with them not around, and I can hold on to that and I don't have to lose myself in love. I thought that's what I had to do was love meant giving up pieces of you or pieces of your identity. And that's how it felt in the marriage that I was in when I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to hide pieces of myself in that marriage because for whatever reason he didn't like it or didn't want to see it or it just wasn't something that he found attractive in me. I'm not sure, but yes. So that relationship also taught me a lot as well.
Mhm.
He was the good guy who on paper, everything looked good
Yeah.
and um there was no debt. We didn't have any kids. There was no struggle.
Right.
Um and at one point it was like, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm a bird trapped in this really beautiful cage or placed in this really beautiful cage. It's very comfortable here. There's no complaints.
Yeah.
But a piece of me, a very big piece of me, just felt trapped. And I couldn't explain why at the time.
did he want to, you were obviously growing. You had obviously chosen to grow and to evolve in your different states of consciousness and in your different states of body, emotional, physical, spiritual. Um, was he willing to, did he want to grow with you, or was he comfortable in the cage?
Girl, he had Taurus in his chart like 6 times. So he was very much the rock with moss growing on it.
Gotcha.
And it was very much, I am happy right here. I don't need to move because this is perfect. Everything is perfect right here. And that's okay for him. And I realized that, but you're absolutely right. We were on different trajectories.
Yeah.
I I woke up in 2017,
Okay.
2018. I That's when I realized that I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
Who am I? If I've been all these other people and all these different things my whole life, who am I really? And so I began diving into more into spirituality, more into just reading about myself, astrology. At the time, I didn't know about human design, but I've gotten into that recently. And just understanding that I love to grow, I love to learn, I love to evolve, and my interests, they may change from
Mhm.
time to time. I may not be the same woman that you knew 3 months ago
Yeah.
or a year ago.
Yeah.
And for him, it was very startling and he couldn't accept it because he was so grounded in who he was. He couldn't understand
Okay.
my need for delving into all these things and getting excited over all these different things.
Right.
So you're right, we were on a different trajectory. And ultimately, that's what ended the marriage. There
Mhm.
were other things as well, but
Yeah.
yeah, um, I would say. I mean, I found my spirituality mostly in massage school, and that
Uh,
was out of high school.
Okay. What made you what made you go into massage uh school?
So it was really a gut instinct.
Uh,
I'm a generator and I learn now like if I feel it and it's a yes, there's no denying it.
I'm a manifesting
That's
generator in human design.
oh awesome. Yeah. So if you feel it, go
Yep.
with it. Yeah. And it's very much waiting for things to come to me and saying yes or no.
Yeah.
Um, and it came to me and it was just oh, I think I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And going into orientation, it made so much sense. You know, they said, well, think about whenever you get hurt, like you bump your knee or you stub your toe, what's your first initial reaction? And it's to grab it or touch it or rub it to
Yeah.
soothe it.
Hmm.
And so that's ultimately what massage is. We're touching the body, we're connecting with the body, we're soothing the body. And from there, my whole world opened up with energetics and spirituality, and just the wonder of the physiology of our body, how it
Uh-huh.
works. And even then, I was learning that your body holds on, your cells literally hold on to memory experiences.
Hmm.
And there was a quote in massage school, your tissues hold issues. And so there would be times where we would be on the table or someone would be on the table and they would just have a release.
Yeah.
And it's because whatever was going on between the therapist and the client, it just unlocked something that you can't really put into words.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty that I found in massage. not just being able to relieve tension and body aches and body pains and
Right.
correct um, instability with the body, but also it goes deeper than that,
Hmm.
for trauma, for experiences. Um, I went on to get certificates in cranial sacral massage or therapy and myofascial release.
Okay.
And
I was good
myofascial,
when you do massages, and you get into the lymphatic system. Um, I know like people when we do energy work and we go into and to drain the lymphatic system, the reactions are dramatic.
yes, your
Like
lymph,
when you're
yes.
massages, um, how you can hit certain points in the meridians and the lymphatic drainage and all of that, um, that will the reactions to it are can be very emotional, and dramatic. Even like muscle spasms and stuff will start to like the muscles will start to release, and then
Hmm.
the fluid starts to drain. That's what I've experienced, in that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Your lymph carries the toxins out. It carries a lot. That is what your lymph system does.
Mhm.
And when your body finally releases what it's been holding, there's a number of ways it can show that release, and trembling and shaking might be one, or breathing rapidly might be another, or crying, letting it out.
Yeah.
A wonderful thing I learned with my fascial release is so our body is covered in fascia, like the
Mhm.
inside of our body, and it's this interweaving web of tissue that sends signals and hormones and chemicals and
Mhm.
nutrients. And that just covers everything. It covers all your organs, all your muscles, all your tendons. If there's even like the slightest knot or adhesion within the fascia,
Mhm.
it creates like this ball where information can't flow as
Mhm.
freely as it could. And so oftentimes when you get in there and you're able to release it and break it apart and smooth it out, the body does have reactions.
Yeah.
Um, some people have, when they've experienced traumatic injuries, like
Yes.
car accidents or motorcycle accidents,
Yeah.
and they're thrown or their body is jerked. When you work on this, the body sometimes reacts the same way it did in the moment that it was traumatized.
Mm.
And you'll see somebody doing the same movements they did as if they were in that accident.
Yeah.
Mhm. But that's all a part of releasing, working with the nervous system and the
Mm.
body to bring you back into homeostasis.
Yeah. I get that. I've had two back surgeries on my lower back, and then I had a nerve released first. They released the nerve, and I
Mm,
healed from that. And it came from an accident.
mm,
And I had one vertebrae that was completely collapsed on
mm,
one side. And so trying to get the lower half of my body to communicate with the fluid going in my spine and going up and down and trying to get all of that reconnected and to heal that appendage, right? That scar tissue, I'll call it scar tissue, trying to
Hmm.
get that to break up and move out of the way. It sometimes feels like that metal wants to come out of my back. Like I've said that a million times. It's like I can start to feel the metal and it moves. It's like it's
Hmm.
almost like it's moving out of the way for the tissue in there to start to heal.
Yeah. I
Um,
wouldn't be surprised if it is
it's
because
in,
our bodies are so innately wise
yes.
and it'll do what it needs to do to balance you out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It took a long time and I still to this day have to work with it. I think
Hmm.
it might be something, it might be this lifetime that I continuously have to work with that to get that to keep communicating.
Yeah.
Um but we're seeing a lot of, especially around the world, um and all over social media, people talking about regulating their nervous system. I'm
Hmm.
very familiar with this. I'm going through a divorce. I was married for 13 years. It was not a traumatic marriage or anything like that. But um, regulating the nervous system seems to be the go-to these days. It's like
Yeah.
the earth is is trying to regulate its nervous system.
Yes, I feel that deeply. Mother Earth, she is trying to regulate herself,
And
and the
us
world
being
is trying
earth
to do
children,
it.
it it has to regulate through us as well.
Hmm.
So anyone that is going through the nervous system regulation, what is some, because you touched on this, what's some advice that you can give the audience or the viewers to assist them in helping with this? Because a lot of people, like, it's global.
Yeah, it does. So, your nervous system is a beautiful thing,
Hmm.
and it's compromised of we have the automatic and we have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic,
Hmm.
and these systems work without us even having to think about them. Um, a lot of times, so when I talk about the nervous system, I'm talking about what state are you in? And there's a base level state,
Hmm.
there's hyper aroused state
Hmm.
that can be seen as fight or flight,
Hmm.
or when you're hyper aware of something, you have to be alert. Or there's hypoarousal, so that could be like when I would dissociate or numb out. Those are all spectrums of where you can be in your nervous system, but ideally, you want to be operating from here, although it's kind of hard to be a human and to
And
just be base level all the time.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it,
I get it.
hmm.
I get it. I was with I was at a an event. I took these two people and one had a son and the man has stage 4 prostate cancer and they're both on substances and the young woman was or is a victim of abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence. Um, and so when I picked them all up and we went to this um, event, I was standing there talking to the gentleman. The woman was very hyper and all over the place. And I couldn't, like, I
Mhm.
kept trying, as I was in the car and there, I kept trying to breathe correctly, and I knew that this wasn't me. And then I was standing there with the man, and I could feel my nervous system start lighting up and getting in that um, we need to go in here and I need to get out
Mm,
feeling. Because we were talking about him, healing and what he's been here 3 years longer than what they predicted.
ah,
And so I was working with him um, with that part of it while we were at the event. But I could feel my nervous system starting to get into that. And the rest of the day, like I really had to had to come home and take a shower and really decompress.
mm,
So I bring this up because a lot of people are out and about and they don't understand why they start feeling this pulsing in their body and and it can cause many reactions within the body, inflammation. It can cause all kinds of different things when your system is out of whack.
yeah.
I'm conscious enough to recognize it, but in that moment I felt fear.
Mm. So,
And I didn't know why. I was
mhm.
like, wait a minute, I know what's going on here. I understand what's going on here. And I'm comfortable enough in my body to understand what is taking place to a certain degree. But I really just like had a few hours there of like I needed to come home and take a shower and decompress. I could feel my system starting to go a little haywire.
Well, I want to give you credit for noticing that because a lot of us go through our day and don't even notice that.
Yeah.
So it can be we start our morning and forget to set our alarm, and so we're jolted waking up, and that's sends stress and cortisol and adrenaline through our body. And there's nowhere for that to go. We're in a rush. And then we get into traffic and we're dealing with other people around us. And so we're hyper alert and we're pumping in more stress and more adrenaline in our body. And then we have, let's say we have a fight with our spouse over the phone or over text. And then that's pumping more into our body, more chemicals of danger, stress, pressure, anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have to perform at work and we have to be calm and we have to sit down for hours and do our job and focus. And where does that stress, that anxiety, where does all that go at the end of the day? And a lot of us are just holding on to it and we don't know what to do with it. And yes, it shows up as inflammation in the body. It shows
Mm-hmm.
up as um, weight gain. It shows up as chronic pain. It can show up as illness as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so being aware of the fact that one, you're dealing with a lot of stressors from moment to moment during your day, and that you do need time to decompress or
Yeah.
let it go somehow. That's a main key, just being aware of that and giving yourself time to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we think about nervous system regulation, it could be something as easy as breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Just when you have a moment, sitting down, taking in 3 deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be the quickest and fastest way to bring your body down from this excited state to this calm and centered present state.
Yeah.
And once you get past that, there's other things that you can build into. One of the things I like to do if I'm extremely anxious or I feel like I have this excited, nervous energy in me is I'll shake it
Yeah.
out. Um, I had a tantric teacher who told us it made sense. Like, ever notice when dogs get done doing something or they wake up or
Yeah,
they they shake. They
yeah,
shake off. They just shake and it's just automatic
yeah.
and it's just something they do. Well, it's a way of them resetting their energy.
Oh,
They're shaking this off and they're just resetting. And you
that's a
see
good way to put that.
they do it a lot.
They do. My dogs
Yeah.
did. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And so why don't we? Why
yeah,
aren't we? Um, Another way to shake is dancing, which I
yeah.
love. I love to dance and just
Me too.
anything that moves your body and gets you
Yep.
into your body
Hmm.
because a lot of nervous system dysregulation is either you in your mind or you outside of your body. And so it's really bringing you back into awareness of yourself.
Yeah,
Um, and
that's interesting. Because we were in the parking lot, and all of a sudden, as we were walking into the van, I turned around and we had already had this conversation. I turned around and I looked at him and I said, "Lock eyes with me and let's breathe." Because I was like, I could feel that over. I don't want to say that it was overwhelming because I've been in this field long enough to know before it gets to that point to allow myself to get to that point. But for viewers, it was like, okay, I felt the pulsing starting to come into my feet and up my legs.
mm,
And I was like, okay. And then it was a very overextended conversation. And I turned around and I just looked at him and I said, lock eyes and let's breathe. And we did right in the middle. It was 95 degrees outside. We were in the parking lot. And I was like, let's breathe for a minute because, whoa,
mhm.
right?
And I'm sure that grounded the both of you. It also, you co-regulated each other in
Mm,
that moment. You were on a similar nervous system wavelength.
yeah, he got a lot calmer. And I felt that overwhelm go away until we all got back into the car again and I was taking them home.
Hmm.
Um, I believe that one of the most important things right now is to be conscious of every couple hours, come back to the breath. Check in with your nervous system. How does your body feel? It takes 2 minutes.
Yes.
It really just takes 2 minutes to go, hey, I'm noticing something like when I'm at home, I'm comfortable, I'm okay. If you're in an environment where you feel safe, do you do you teach others how to regulate when they're outside of their space?
Yes. So, and that's a big one for me. Because I grew up how I did, my world became my space is my sanctuary, and this is the only place where I feel like I'm in control. And so I grew up and I had to learn how do I function out there when things aren't in my control. And
Right.
so, yeah, that is something that I do teach, how to regulate yourself anywhere. You can do it anywhere, and it literally
Yeah.
takes, like you said, 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Um,
Even driving in your car in traffic.
Yes. A big one with driving is to do box breathing if you can. And that's where you breathe in for a count of four and you hold for a count of four. Breathe
Hmm.
out for a count of four and hold for a count of four. And then you do that all over again. If you
Okay.
can just do that when you're in traffic, just it brings you back into the moment. It brings you
Mm,
back into your body, and you're not as tense as you were
yeah.
in that moment. Um, so yes, I do teach that. And you were saying something else that I wanted to touch on. Um, and I can't remember. It's escaped my
Was it
mind.
about inflammation? Was it about the
Mm.
fear, the overwhelm, um, the fascia?
It'll come back to me.
Okay, it'll come
It'll
back.
come
All
back.
right. Then
It'll come back. Yes. But yes. So within nervous system regulation, it is a lot of breath work that we do, but it's also a lot of being aware of your body.
okay.
What I've noticed and what was true for me is that I wasn't aware of my body's cues as I would have liked to have been.
Mm,
Um, and nervous system dysregulation can also show up as maybe you're working on the computer or you're focused on something and your body's giving you the signal that you have to go to the bathroom, but you're overriding that.
mm,
And you're not listening to your body and you're just in the zone and you're like, I just have to get this email or I have to get and then and then before you know it, you haven't.
yeah.
So you're teaching yourself to override your body's inner wisdom and you're teaching yourself that you can put these things off, which isn't the case. You want to listen to your body. When it's time to
Right.
go to the bathroom. If you need water, get water.
Yeah.
But we have a tendency, especially as women, to put it aside so that we can function in this
Keep.
male-dominated world
Mm,
and, keep with the go, go, go and the productivity instead of listening to ourselves and taking the time and taking the moment to be aware. Um,
mm,
yeah.
okay. So, as far as regulating the nervous system, the advice would be breath work, and that would lead us into the somatic.
Yeah.
So, you want to explain what somatic healing is or
hmm
technique? What I don't know what you call it.
somatic healing. I think that's a good term for what I do. Somatic is basically just being in the body. Soma means in the body.
Okay.
And a lot of my journey has been reconnecting with my body in order to thrive and make it out there. So I teach women how to come back into their body,
Mm-hmm.
be aware of their body again. Um, and the techniques to do that. So, movement is a good one. Any type of movement. Walking is a really good one. Have you heard of EMDR?
Mm-hmm. I have.
The
Yep.
eye
Yep.
back and forth. So, when you
I'll do that
walk,
when I'm watching TV a lot. Sometimes when I'm resting,
mm,
I'll look up from the TV and I'll start moving my eyes back and forth to shake that out.
yes. So what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're just creating bilateral movement in the body and
Yeah.
it's bringing you back into awareness. And so when you walk, you're creating that bilateral movement also. And
Okay.
they say if you do it for over 30 minutes, that's going to help you as well with the somatic energetics of it. Um, there are small exercises you can do. Somatic healing is very gentle. None of it's invasive.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very gentle. So, for instance, I had a triggering moment where I experienced trauma, but it wasn't physical trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was in my own, I had just bought my own condo. And this was my sanctuary.
Gotcha.
And I was in a new relationship and we were talking about having him move in. This was the marriage that I was in before.
Mm,
Um, I didn't know at the time, but my body had a very visceral reaction to him moving into my space. my psoas muscles locked up so tight that I couldn't stand up properly. So at the time, I was a massage therapist and I was doing massage. And by the end of the day, I was bent over from the waist and I could not stand up straight. My
Oh,
back
wow.
wouldn't do it. It hurt too bad. It literally felt like my back had broke, but not really. It hurt to sit. It hurt. It hurt just all over, and I didn't know what was wrong. Well, come to find out through somatics and nervous system regulation, I had a very, very real experience that my stability, my security that I had built for myself was
Hmm.
going to somehow be taken away with this new
Oh,
person coming in to live with me.
okay.
And I didn't feel safe. I didn't know this at the time, but I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel secure, but this was happening, right? And I had to deal with it somehow, and my body had to deal with it somehow. And so that's how it dealt with it. And the academy that I'm in, the Somatics Energetics Academy,
Hmm.
teaches us about trauma-informed work.
Okay.
And so what happened in that moment was the trauma I experienced dug itself into my psoas, into my cells, into my body. And every year, I kid you not, around the same time, my back would go out.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this last year it happened again. But I realized it happened around certain situations.
Okay.
So, for instance, we moved a lot again in the last 4 years in this relationship that I'm in, we moved.
Yeah.
And every time we moved, my back would go out.
Oh.
And I didn't know this at the time, but it was because I was re-experiencing that original trauma of my safety, my security, my stability,
Hmm.
my world that I can control is changing, and
Hmm.
I don't know how to fix this.
Oh, wow. I can relate to that. Oh my gosh. I know that feeling all too well.
Hmm.
All too
What was
well.
it for
I
you?
just, so I came out of a 13-year marriage and I was living in North Carolina. We moved a lot too. And I had always had back problems.
Mm,
Um, but it got to a point where my back was starting to feel better and
mm-hmm,
then move. And I wouldn't even be able to help unpack the truck.
mm,
And so March a year ago, um, we decided to separate, and me and my daughter moved from Wilmington, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida.
oh, wow.
Didn't know the place that we were living in. It was my daughter's best friend's house. And so my dogs had just passed away, one 11 months before, and then one like a month before we moved.
Mm,
And he was already staying outside of the house, so that was different. So I was experiencing this pain, and I'm going, okay, this has already been corrected. Like I know as a holographic healer, um, why am I not getting this? Why am I not picking this up? Right. And so
yeah.
I did. I had to go back and trace, even before this husband, I had to go back and trace why this started coming through.
Mm-hmm,
And it was big trauma.
mm-hmm,
And I was experiencing it all last year, off and on. Um, and when we moved, we were there till the first of this past December 2025. And we found out that we had to move. And so we had to find a place very quickly,
mm,
within a month, move.
Mm.
And all of this in my shoulders and my neck, all of this right here, I could not even lift my arms above my head, was completely and utterly locked up. My jaw was locked up.
Mm.
Like I couldn't hardly even sleep. I had to go to the chiropractor, start getting acupuncture, start getting regular adjustments so that that could come down so that I could actually start working on myself like I
Wow.
knew how to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, wow, confirmation station right there.
Mm. And it may not show up like that. It may just be a pain you've had for a long time now.
Mm,
But when you look back and you think, when was the first time I had that pain? What was it related to? It's some sort of traumatic event, and trauma looks completely different for everybody, and it can be one thing or another. It doesn't have to be something very specific. Like we tend to think of trauma as PTSD, war veterans, or
oh,
trauma as sexual assault or abuse, but it can be something as little as being yelled at or
yeah.
yelled at constantly over time, or something as innocent as I mean, not innocent, but like an accident, a car accident where you get hit from behind, but that might be your one and only time. Maybe you have parents who were for the most part perfect,
Mm,
and but in one moment you witness them fight.
yeah.
And so trauma can come up in a lot of different ways for people, and it can attach itself in the body. And the body is the last thing to let it go also. I will say that. That's what I learned from massage therapy. You can logically process what happened and you can explain and you can give these things that happen to you words,
Hmm.
but your body is the last thing to let it go because
Right.
your body holds on to it because it wants to protect you in a way from these things.
Yeah. I had to let down
So,
my shields.
yes,
You have
yes,
to really start shedding those. And I call them shields because that's false protection.
yes, yes, that's very accurate. False protection.
Yeah.
And they create stories about why it's good that they're there and they're protecting us, but ultimately they're not needed anymore. They were necessary perhaps at that time,
Yeah.
but they're not needed anymore. And this is also part of the work that I do as well by teaching women that, it had a purpose,
Hmm.
but it doesn't anymore. It doesn't have to have a purpose anymore. And so for me, my journey with my psoas has been anytime I feel it tightening up, I have to remind myself I'm not in that moment.
Hmm.
And this moment is different and I'm safe. And that's been an affirmation or a mantra that I've used a lot. I'm safe.
Yeah.
I pair that with hip exercises, hip openers, because your hip and sacral space is where your safety is held.
Hmm.
Um, your root chakra,
Yeah.
and yeah,
There's a yoga pose that I started doing when I realized when all this started happening and I started going to the chiropractor, where you lay on your back and you put your feet, you bend your knees and put your feet flat on the floor. So
mm,
you're laying flat with your knees up with your feet on the floor, and you take your legs or your feet and you spread them out a little wider than your body, and then you let your knees fall in
yes.
and that opens the hips. And I'm going to tell you the words that came out of my mouth for the first 2 weeks was like, I mean, it was unbelievable at the time how much was in there.
Yes.
Just that one simple thing and breathing. breathing while, I was letting my spine actually relax onto the floor. Because when I first started, like the first week, like I couldn't even put my back on the
Mm-hmm.
floor because it was so like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. I know the feeling. Yeah.
And, after a week of starting, at 5 minutes and then 10 minutes and then doing 15 minutes, finally I noticed one day that I just laid down and did it and expected to start cussing like a sailor. My back laid right on the floor, my knees fell in, and I
Mm-hmm.
automatically just started breathing. And I
Mm-hmm.
could feel the nerves in like my feet and my legs and everything start like tingling and like happy.
Mm. And
Yeah.
that is a beautiful example of the gentleness of the work that it is.
Yeah.
It's not forced. So, and just the simple act of giving yourself the space and the time
It's
to
the simplicity.
the simplicity.
It you don't have to, that's what I tell everybody. I say this, I don't tell, I say this so much is you don't have to jump through hoops to calm and heal yourself and to feel safe in your own foundation.
Yes.
Like you don't have to run a marathon
Yeah. And
to get
so
point A to point B.
I had been in talk therapy for years.
Mm,
And I'm grateful for talk therapy, right?
right.
It gave me the vocabulary to express what it was I was going through and what I needed.
Mm,
However, it wasn't until I had a somatic experience, somatic healing, where it connected and I finally had a breakthrough and things were able to release. So not just with my psoas, but also with like emotions.
okay.
Um, I I tell everyone I was really angry when I was younger, and it's still one of my kind of default reactions is anger,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm learning through somatic healing, through nervous system regulation, that that's just kind of a wall, like we were talking about. It's just another wall to protect us.
Yeah.
Um, that we have to get through onto the other side. And so that's also a layer of what I do. Like I help women process their feelings. And for the longest time, I knew I had this anger in me. It didn't feel like it was mine, but it was mine because I was expressing it. So I had to figure out where that was coming from too. And so getting in touch with the emotion and my body, finding where the anger was held.
Gotcha.
Um, mhm. uh it's just all these different layers, so it's not just somatics and it's not just nervous system regulation and it's not just it's all of these things combined, and it's a beautiful experience when you can bring them all together and
Absolutely.
someone can have a breakthrough with it, and it sounds like you did.
I did. Um, and I'm grateful that it came across my table to experience that. It's helped tremendously. I don't do it all the time like I was doing it, because I don't feel like I need it as much now because I've created that space but I'll tell you, before we wrap up, um, the we'll go into the energetics or the spiritual space for a moment. And since we're talking about protection, how our brain, our mind will build those protection layers.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to learn to start shedding them. But in spirituality, in energetics, we're taught to put up these
Mm-hmm.
energetic protective barriers.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your experience in that area? Because like I had to let go of so many. I was like, really? There's still another layer up? Like, are you
Mm-hmm.
kidding me? You know, and it's hard to get them to let that down, even when you trust your spirit and your whatever you have around you, if you want to call them guides, angels, masters, whatever it is. um what is your experience with, do you have experience in that?
hmm Well,
Okay.
I think it's really important to understand that there are energies out there that aren't our own, and it's very easy for them to attach to us, and we
Mm-hmm.
can take them on very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And empaths do it often, and when they don't learn how to shield themselves, um, it's it's something I can do also. Like I mimic other people's emotions very easily and I take them on as if they're my own. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there's something to be said for energetically guarding yourself when it comes to that. But
So
as
you believe in
far,
energetically putting up an energy field that boomerangs. That's what I call it. Like I automatically have a boomerang effect.
mm, hmm
So when energy, I've actually had other psychics and stuff be sitting with me at an event, and they'll be like, "Oh, the spirit just ran at you and literally bounced, and then came back again." And I named it the boomerang effect
hmm hmm
because it just like boomerangs.
Yeah. I
But
think it's important. hmm You don't want, there are times when you don't want all that coming at you, right?
yeah,
You want to be sovereign and in your own authenticity and be able to hold your own emotions. And then there's times when, maybe you do need to take it down a little bit to help somebody or to be
yeah.
with somebody in a moment. So I think there's a time and place for it for sure.
Do you think I was learning a lesson when I was with those people this past weekend? Do you think that because I did not, well, I first of all I didn't expect what was happening to happen. Um and so I wasn't in that um preparation,
Mm,
right? I wasn't in the preparation stage is what I
mm,
kind of that's what I call it. It's like when I'm going into a working with someone energetically, I get into a preparation state,
mhm,
where I'm connected and I'm dialed in and I make sure that I watch my body because my body will tell me what to translate to them.
mm,
But on a controlled level, right? So
mhm,
where I'm not taking it on, I'm not absorbing it or internalizing it, but I can tell them, okay, the gallbladder or the you're holding fear in the kidneys, blah blah blah. So I wonder if that might have been because I've been thinking about that. I've been kind of like trying to settle into that, like why normally I don't wouldn't feel that overwhelming feeling.
mhm,
So that was really interesting um to have that come on. And I thought, well, okay, I'm loved, I'm guided, I'm supported, I'm protected.
mhm,
I need to hold my own.
mhm. Well, I want to point out one, I think you already know the answer to this. And two, I always like to create a mirror. So if this thing came into my field, my observation, what frequency within me was vibrating to to get on the same wavelength as that.
Hmm.
And so where I would ask, where were you in that moment? What did it bring up for you? Is there anything that you noticed afterwards, maybe that might connect the dots there for it to be a learning experience.
When I was speaking with him, I felt very in my guides. Like I felt like when I'm teaching, I felt that encompass. But then it would let go. And all I wanted to do was get out of the car, go home and take a shower.
Mm,
Like I couldn't get up the steps fast enough. And I even put my hand on my door before I came in my apartment and allowed my light to proceed in front of me. And I literally let the door shut behind me, stripped, got in the shower. Like that was my response. And then afterwards, I was like, what the heckums just happened?
hmm
Like, for some reason, it eluded me.
hmm
Um, I hadn't planned on doing that day or being in that place. I was out and I got hired to drive these people and then spend the day with them and help them. And it was very spontaneous.
Mm. So, I mean, it sounds like it was something that was meant to happen.
Yeah. Oh, I don't believe in coincidences.
hmm
That's why I'm looking at it. I'm like, I mean, I got it now. I feel I've got a handle on it now and I set a boundary. But I still didn't put up any walls this time. Does
hmm
that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
didn't automatically, like when I turned around and looked at him, I was like, okay, hold on, let's lock in and breathe, right? So I wanted to decompress the energy. But before I would have thrown light all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do that this time.
And maybe that was something he needed to open up and activate something within himself.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought I would bring that up since we were on the topic of
hmm
this because it was something that happened. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, I hadn't planned on talking about it, but that's something that's happened recently that kind of made me go, huh.
hmm
I mean, after I took a shower and I was at home and I went outside a few times, I literally did shake it off and returned back, you know, um, to calmness and peace, which is my natural state. Um, but it does bring it up.
Yeah.
Um, do we trust that we are protected
Mm.
already by something greater than us? And that it's okay for us to let down our walls and our protections that we
Mhm.
imagine around us or bring up
Mm.
through us
Mm.
and experience the experience and all the tools that we've been given and the gifts that we've been given are put into play. That's what I
Yeah.
got.
And to know that we're still protected and we know how to release it so that
Interesting.
it doesn't affect us
It-
further.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting isn't it? How it works.
I wonder if the only way you could reach him was to have your walls down. And maybe that was just something that your body knew automatically, and that's why it just didn't appear to you to do that.
Yeah, I mean, when I was standing there, I felt my legs start to tingle and shake, and I was like, "Nope, I know this feeling. Huh, hold on a second, something's," and that's immediately like when I turned around and was like, "Halt, let's breathe,"
Good.
because it was. I was like, didn't have any spiritual. I don't just go out and put up spiritual. I believe it's a built-in system.
Hmm.
Like when you get to, I guess when you get to a certain point within yourself and the energetic fields and stuff, it kind of, and you're connecting, it, it's like almost like an automatic thing that happens. Like, like when you're going to go out into a big crowd,
That it's there for you.
that it's going
It's
to be there,
working.
that it's there.
Hmm.
What is your experience with that
I'd like to believe that
these
also.
days? That's another big thing these days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I know, however, when I need to maybe bring it into my awareness a little bit more when I've been out and I feel um the weight of it. Like if I'm
Yeah.
in crowds or in a place and all of a sudden I feel drained,
Hmm.
then it kind of makes me more aware of, oh, I maybe I need to ground myself a little bit more or but yeah, I do think there's a level of protection that's there always with us, whether it's our guardians, our highest self. I do believe that that's there always. I feel like, but I do find it interesting. I think that maybe in order to reach him,
I had to be
that
open.
energetic wall didn't need to be there for you to reach him
Yeah.
or
I
couldn't
had
be there for
had
you
to
to
be
reach.
more open.
Yeah.
I'm finding
Yeah.
that a lot more lately, that I'm very open more
Hmm.
than I used to be.
So I think for you, then it's just the aftercare
Yeah.
because you're so aware of that. It's releasing it, getting back into your body, letting it go. And
You can
what
teach
about,
people how to do that.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
A big part though of the women that I see is they need to become aware of it first.
Yeah.
You know, they've been aware of it, but they've kind of put it into the back of their mind and they're not as aware of it. And so, um, becoming aware of it first and then releasing it and then working through it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, with
Wonderful.
grace, with ease. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be hard. It can be easy and it can be sometimes it can hurt and we have to release those emotions, but there's
Yeah,
beauty in that too.
there is.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did come home and cry because it was a very sad situation.
Yeah,
And but then I was like, okay, but you know what? I mean, this is the world.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes, my guy said, sometimes you can be in one area too much,
Mm,
and you've got to plug back into society and
hmm.
plug back into the collective on a regular basis. Because there's where you get to use all the gifts and tools and stuff that you've been cultivating from the time you were born,
Yes. Yeah.
you know?
It's kind of like you can be the monk on the mountain. But, that benefits you, but
Yeah,
you can come down and you can interact with the world and you can share what you know with the world and you can help so many other people and shine your light that way. It's all a matter of what would you like to do? What do you want to experience?
yeah, exactly. Interesting. Interesting. Well, before we wrap up, Raquel, is there anything else that you would like to share? We're going to put your website, your links, in the comments under this video, so that people know how to get a hold of you. But would you like to go ahead and mention them as well?
Yeah, you can find me at racquelannette.com.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, Racquel Annette. I'm on Instagram, the Racquel Annette. And I'm currently taking one-on-one clients
Okay.
for embodiment, somatic coaching, nervous system regulation, all the things we've talked about here. And I'm starting a 12-week program May 7th.
Okay.
So, taking a very intimate group of women
Hmm.
on a journey through nervous system regulation 101, how to become aware, how to make those boundaries, healing the father wound, um, all like dealing with chronic pain, shadow work, inner child work, a lot of stuff going on during the 12 weeks so that whoever is coming in understands themselves just a little bit deeper and a little bit more so that they can thrive in life and they can manifest their dream life and they can call in the love of their life and they can be confident in themselves again and
Yeah.
not have to abandon themselves or lose pieces of themselves or feel like they can't fully be themselves.
Right.
Yeah,
There
so
you
that starts May 7th
go.
and there's an application process for
Can they
that.
find that on your website?
Yes,
Okay.
that's on my website, racquelannette.com/self-chosen, or there's a link in there. The program is called Self-Chosen, and that's where they can find it.
Okay. Great. And that starts May the 7th. Okay. All right. Anything else you would like to discuss before we close out?
No, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And we are very grateful that you are here. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to having you back on because there are things in your bio that we didn't get to today, but that we can get to in another episode. Um,
Absolutely.
we've got Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Womb
Yeah.
activation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a lot of stuff going on. So we've still got a lot to provide.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful day and thank you for being on Ancient Voice Rising.
Thank you so much, Hera. You as well.
All right.